Hello everyone, so today I actually received the, I guess let's call it Jotoman bowl because of Korean Joseon and Ottoman bowl combination, so let's call it Jotoman bowl. I received it today and I did a very brief test, look at some specifications, compare some stuff, and the quick answer to you guys is that this bowl is better than expected. It is actually really satisfying. It's really satisfying because it really goes beyond what I was hoping for in a fiberglass bowl. In fact, I'm going to give you some numbers to compare after this and some examples to show you to let you understand what I mean by exceeding expectation. Okay, so let's start with just understanding that where is this bowl coming from and what exactly this is. So this bowl is actually a project that I started with Mazan bowls. So what was going on is I have some crab bowl. I believe you already know that I have been using the Elong crab bowl for some years to teach students, and those bowls are aging. It's been 5 years since I started using them, and over these several years, some of them has already broken. So the number of bowls I have for the students are kind of cutting down. So I'm thinking that, well, I kind of need to replace them sooner or later. So I'm looking for options of a bowl that is not very expensive. Obvious reason, right? So you do not want to rent out very expensive bowl to beginners. So I want to look for a bowl that is not too expensive, but I want it to be durable. Because beginners, sometimes they are too excited, they might dry fire your bowl. So I was looking for a bowl that's fairly cheap and durable, but at the same time, sometimes you get students that have very long drawings. So I also want the bowl to be able to draw a decent length, at least in Malaysia. A decent length is something like up to 31 inch. If you can go 32, even better. Okay, so that is my goal. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Mazan. Okay, Mazan, because, well, there's a lot of people who actually make fiberglass bowl, and you know that, right? But the thing is, oftentimes when I look at the craftsmanship, I'm not very satisfied because I kind of have OCD actually, and quite severe. I want the bowl to look really neat and tidy. I find it very difficult to accept a bowl that is messy looking. So that's why I collaborated with Mazan, and I find that he probably has the best potential to start a project with, because if I were to start, let's say, a laminated bowl project with AF and someone else, the cost of the bowls is gonna be quite high, and I don't even know if it's gonna succeed, right? So I thought, let's give it a try. Like, why not just start with a fiberglass bowl project? So I contacted Mazan, and he seemed to be very eager about this whole thing. Seems to be a nice idea, and he would like to give it a try. So we went ahead. I gave him some spec of what I want in the bowl, what should we do about the bowl, and he came up with well, the first bowl actually didn't quite go how we wanted, because there's a bit of too much bulk here. The bowl was a bit too easy to twist. What else? Yeah, I don't remember anymore. So this actually is the second unit that he made. So there's a bit of correction to reduce the tendency to twist, and then we also reduce the mass of the tip and cut down on the hand shock and vibration. So the result is actually, in my opinion, very good. Okay. Even before he sent it, he's telling me that it's actually quite good. So I actually asked him to take some measurements, and then before he sent to me, so I kind of have some expectation. And when I received it, Well, of course, the first thing immediately is to string it up and to draw it. Immediately, I notice the smoothness of the bowl is much better than all the fiberglass bowl I ever had. Okay, I'm talking about solid fiberglass bowl. If you have been following me, you probably know that I like to compare something that I call as a percentage per inch, because some bowyer they tend to measure pounds per inch. That's between 29 to 30 inch, how much pounds increase? To me, that is bullshit, because if the poundage goes up by 3 pounds, for a 30 pound, that is 10%. For a 60 pound, that is 5%. So 3 pound, is it smooth or not? Well, it depends on what's your reference poundage, right? It depends on the original poundage. If the rated poundage is 60, then a 3 pound is very smooth. If the reference poundage is 30, then it's not smooth. It's 10% increase. That's very stacky. So that's why I use percentage, because it has to be relative to the rated poundage. Okay, so that's why I'm going to mention percent per inch. That is to say, let's say 28 to 30 inch or 28 to 31 inch. How many percent of the poundage increase per inch? Okay, so that's the reference that we're going to be using, the PPI, poundage per percent of poundage per inch. This bowl I measured earlier, I'm getting 7.7 PPI. Okay, 7.7. Now to put into context, how much is 7.7 relative to other bowls? Okay, we need to know other bowls first. Okay, this is the Mazan Tatar model, okay, which is the same length. Sorry, is it? Yeah, it is. Let me put it on the floor. Okay, they are touching the floor. They are touching the floor. So you see, they are almost the same length. Okay, almost the same length, like maybe half a finger. Almost the same length. Both are slightly plus minus around 46 inch. This one, the Tatar, has a PPI of 9.1. Okay, 9.1 on this bowl. The AF Tatar Oak. Okay. AF Tatar Oak. This is a 49-inch bowl. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the floor so that you can see. Okay, 49-inch versus 46-inch. This one here records 9.2 PPI. Okay, the higher the number is, the more stacky, because it is increasing by a greater percentage for every inch. 9.2 PPI, 9.1 PPI. Okay, now I'm gonna use some Turkish bowl that are of very similar length, which you can see, right? They are literally plus minus about 46 inch, all of them. This one here is an AF made EFG or fiberglass Turkish bowl. It is the same mold as the Çeyue. Let me put this aside so you can see better. Okay, so one is a fiberglass version, one is the laminate version. This is the Çeyue, you can see that. So same mold, so you can see the curvature, everything is identical. Now fiberglass bowl tend to stack more. As a result, this bowl, despite the same length, okay, this bowl, the PPI is 10, okay, 10 PPI, which is quite stacky, because remember the two bowls earlier, 9.1, 9.2, this is 10, and the higher it is, the worse the stackiness. Now this is the laminate version. Laminate is usually not as stacky as the solid glass. So despite the exact same geometry, length and everything else, except for the construction, this is a laminate bowl. This records 8.8 ppi. Pretty good. It's in fact smoother than a tartar bowl. This is 7.7. This is 46 inch, slightly under. Okay, slightly under 46 inch. And it's recording 7.7 now. How, like, what bowl is comparable to this 7.7? The AF C-Chai. The AF C-Chai records a 7.5 ppi. So the 0.2 ppi actually is not very noticeable because we're talking about 0.2% per inch difference. It's not very notable, but 7.5, 7.7 is very similar. The C-Chai is 53 inch. This is 46 inch, and this, in terms of smoothness, is about the same as the C-Chai. So that's why when I first draw this bowl, I immediately notice it's very notable. This bowl is surprisingly smooth. Now I'm going to actually draw the bowl so that you kind of have an idea. Okay, I'm going to draw with fingers to the max length that I can achieve. Okay, here. And I can feel as if I can just pull some more, but I'm limited to my own arm length. I can't pull any further, but I can still feel that the back wants to go more. Okay, the back here wants to go more. It can pull further. The AF 雀约, around here, I kind of feel like the last segment there, despite the draw length is the same, but the last segment doesn't want to draw any further. It feels hard, like a wall. The AF Turkish EFG. Oh, this one is, I'm not even reaching that length. It's shorter than just now. Now it's the same length. That last inch there, that's very stacky. The AF Tatar. Okay, about here, yeah, same thing. The last inch is stiff. Mazan Tatar. Oh, this one, same thing. The drawing is shorter than the other one. It's just stiff. The back is stiff, but I don't feel that kind of stiffness with the Jotoman bow. In fact, this bow, well, I guess you recognize it. This is the YMG Hwarang bow. Since we are getting inspiration from the Korean bow, so of course we should compare it with the Korean bow as well. So again, putting them on the floor, you can see it's not the same length. The Korean is a longer bow. So how does the Korean bow feel? It's not smooth, not smooth. This one feels very similar to the Tatar. The back is hard, it's not as smooth, which is why, now remember, the Hwarang bow is quite famous for being one of the excellent Korean bows, and I feel this is very similar to Tatar. So that makes the Jotoman bow to be quite impressive, despite being actually the smallest of the entire bunch here, but it's the smoothest, and it is a fiberglass bow. It's not even a laminate bow. That's why when I first draw, I'm like, oh wow, is this for real? I'm gonna have to measure everything and do all this comparison, which is why I'm so impressed by the smoothness of this bow. Okay, so now I'm gonna just show you this close up to let's enjoy some of the design on this bow. Let's start with the handle. Okay, so we did some changes to the handle. Let me do a comparison like that. Okay, let's have a look at the handle. Now this one here is their standard Turkish. So you can see what is going on here. We actually made the bottom here larger. So originally the top and bottom side is almost symmetric. Okay, so original Mazan design is actually a symmetric handle, but we decided that we do not want a symmetric handle. We want an asymmetric. We want this to be narrow. We want here to be fuller so that it feels more comfortable. Okay, it's larger here, more comfortable. We also actually increase the overall grip dimension so that there's more mass here to absorb the hand shock and vibration. Okay, let's have a look. So the handle is bulkier, more mass to absorb the shock and vibration, fuller grip for comfort. Okay, so in terms of the leather here, not leather, this is actually cork fabric. Kind of confuse you because it does look almost like leather, but it's not. It's not. This is cork. Let's look closely. It is definitely cork. Okay, and the pattern is fake. You can choose from a lot of patterns. So this one here, I decided that since I'm kind of like using the Korean idea, so I kind of like, oh, let's put like an imitation birch bark. So imitation, not real birch. Okay. So in terms of the curvature here, this is actually similar to a Jotoman bow. This is actually an Jotoman curvature here. Let me show you again comparison. So you can see the Jotoman, right, versus this bow. Okay, whereas Korean is more like that. Korean is straight, doesn't have this part here. Korean is like that. Okay, so the link itself is an Jotoman bow. It is the tip here that we made it like Korean. Okay, have a look here. Okay, almost like a Korean bow. However, we also made some changes to make it more efficient. So again, let's compare against the Hwarang bow. So you can see this is actually quite slim, right? Quite slim, right? Obviously, I don't need to show you with a ruler, right? So this is actually quite slim down to cut mass. Okay. This side here actually looks a little bit bulky. Which is why I actually suggested to Mazan that in the future version, we're gonna do a little bit removal on this area here, just to shape it to look a bit more slim. Okay. One thing that I did not expect is this red piece of string bridge, because on Korean bows is a piece of rubber, and the rubber actually helps to cushion the bow against like let's say dry fire or very light arrows. The rubber is actually quite important. This one I was expecting rubber. When I got it and I touched it, ooh, this is not rubber. This is actually a plastic. It's a red plastic, so it is not soft. It is a hard bridge. So this is actually not exactly that I expect, but doesn't really matter. The bow works great, so I'm not going to be bothered changing it. Just leave it as is. Okay, so overall I think you already see the bow. You see the bow and you saw the draw profile. Now how does it shoot? Okay, smoothness is definitely good. The smoothness is very, very good. So in terms of speed, in terms of hand shock, okay, how does it feel? So let's start with speed. Now in terms of speed, the bow is actually quite good. It is not slow. It definitely is not slow. Of course, we cannot compare against the carbon Super Babylon. Okay, so I have it here. So just now I was testing against this Super Babylon. Now obviously the Super Babylon is a faster bow, I don't even have to chrono it. The moment you launch the arrow, you can feel like, holy cow, this Super Babylon is fast. But it's not to say that the bow is slow. It is more like this one here is a very exceptional bow that is very fast compared to pretty much most of the other bows out there. So any bow that I compare against this one, of course, this is still going to be faster. This is actually one of the really exceptional bows. In terms of speed, I would say it is more like the Super Sichai. So it's a decent speed, does not feel slow. I'm going to take some shots after this to kind of show you. Definitely is a decent speed, although I did not chrono it, okay? Because speed is really not the strength of fiberglass bow, but I'm just saying this bow doesn't feel slow, it feels pretty good. In terms of hand shock, okay, I'm gonna actually emphasize more on the hand shock because the first prototype that we didn't continue, it had a lot of hand shock, and then we have to make some changes, brace height, all the adjustments, and then we kind of solved the hand shock problem. And when I tested, I feel that, in my opinion, I don't think the hand shock is very bad, but I cannot give you a very confirmed answer yet. That's because actually my arm is still hurting. This arm here is hurting. I believe it was because back in January, mid-January, I had this Mariner King Dragon 80 pound for one of my customer, and I think I hurt myself when I was testing his bow. So I'm not fully recovered yet. This part is hurting, and also this part kind of it feels a bit more sensitive. So like every bow I shoot, I just feel like as if there's more vibration. Even the bow that I previously did not feel anything, I feel more. So I compare them like today, both of these bow. The Super Babylon with a carbon back, glass belly, bamboo cord absorb shock, and a counterweight in the handle, a lead counterweight in the handle that dampens hand shock and vibration. Of course, in terms of hand shock and vibration, this bow is actually quite low. Even with my condition right now, and when I shoot this one, I feel it's actually not much at all. When I shoot this bow, obviously it's a fiberglass bow. Okay? It's gonna have some amount of shock, but I noticed that the shock is actually not much worse than the Super Babylon. Even with my condition, I can actually shoot this bow quite a lot of times. It is not bad enough to affect my condition. So I would say that if I did not have this condition right now, this bow probably would not be considered as a high hand shock at all. Maybe it's a very low hand shock, because we are talking about the Super Babylon and it's very close. I would say very, very close. Of course, the Super Babylon actually has less shock because it's a very high spec stuff and it costs a lot more. So this one being a lot cheaper, like that price in terms of Malaysian ringgit, I'm pricing that one at 1850. This one is 700. Big difference. So the slightly more hand shock on this bow is not bad at all. In fact, actually, it depends on some of the shots. Like some of the shots, I don't feel it. Some of the shots actually the bow shoots just as good as the Super Babylon. Sometimes I feel the punch back, small amount. So that's why I feel like, oh, this bow actually very good. Very, considering the price, especially if you consider the price, this bow is really excellent. So let's stop talking and do some shooting. Just for a comparison purpose, I'm gonna start off with a Super Babylon, take maybe a shot or two, so they kind of have a feeling of what a Super Babylon can do, and then we'll go with the Jotoman and see how it compares. Okay, obviously this bow is fast, is violent, powerful. And hand shock is of course very low. Doesn't hurt my hand at all. Okay, so this bow is actually the same poundage. Both of them are 28-inch, 30 pounds. So fair comparison. Same arrows. Just now that shot felt similar to the Super Babylon. This shot felt slightly more than Super Babylon. Slightly more than Babylon. Yeah, so it's slightly more than Babylon. Let's do it again. Okay, let's try to draw it a bit further because it's a small bow and I kind of have this tendency of drawing shorter with the shorter bow. Let's try to do a longer draw. It's easy to hold because it's quite smooth, it's quite easy to hold. Just now, that shot I felt a little bit more hand shock, limited only in the grip. It didn't travel to here, it is only limited within the grip. Okay, this shot felt very good, comparable to the Babylon. It didn't feel more or didn't feel less. So overall, I would say it's very close. Like if it's any worse, it's slightly worse in terms of hand shot and vibration compared to the Babylon. Comparable. Yeah, comparable. So that's why I'm actually very impressed with this bow. In terms of stability, yeah, it is actually not going to be as stable as a 59-inch bow. This is a 46-inch. So one of the drawbacks of a shorter bow, it tends to be not going to be as forgiving as the longer bow, which you can see from the result, right? It tends to be a bit more unforgiving. But if you nail down your technique, actually it's quite good. Let's actually go inspect the result and you can see it for yourself. Okay, so definitely a very good bow.